the Holy Father upon elected as the Pope chose the name, Francis. There were 3 reasons why he chose that name. Saint Francis of Assisi was a man of peace, a man of poverty, a man who loved and protected creation. Today, October 4th, the Church celebrates the feast of Saint Francis of Assisi. Welcome to the Saint of the Day. Francis was born in Assisi, Italy. Francis grew up with the times, leading a life of luxury with the money available only to the rich, feasting and enjoying life to the brim. This earned him the name the King of Feasts. Despite his apparent success, he dreamed of the life of knights in the service to the king, and joined the army at the age of 20. Francis was taken prisoner and in a jail. He languished in a damp dungeon and contracted malaria. His father paid ransom for his release, and Francis returned to Assisi a changed man. In 1205 he received a divine command, "Francis, go out and build up my house, for it is nearly falling down." At first he thought it meant that he should rebuild San Damiano, which he did. However, the Lord wanted him to build the entire Church of Christ. He took the Gospels as the rule of his life, Jesus Christ as his literal example. He dressed in rough clothes, begged for his sustenance, and preached purity and peace. He visited hospitals, served the sick, preached in the streets, and took all men and women as siblings. Francis founded the Franciscan order in 1209, having secured papal blessing. Several years later, in 1212, he founded the Order of Poor Clares, with Saint Clare of Assisi who had become his spiritual student. He saw everything in the world as brothers and sisters. He composed songs and hymns, finding the glory and perfection of the Lord surrounding him in nature. He lived and communed with animals, cared for the sick, especially lepers, sent food to thieves, and embraced all of God's creatures as sacred. He is the first recorded person in history to receive the Stigmata. Saint Francis died at the age of 44 in 1226 at Portuncula, Italy. He was canonized by Pope Gregory IX, less than 2 years later. Francis had asked to be buried in the criminal's cemetery. However, the crowd at the funeral bore his body to the Church of St. George in Assisi. 2 years later, in 1228, the first stone was laid for the beautiful basilica built in Francis' honor. In 1230 his body was translated to the basilica in Assisi, where it remains today.